Good afternoon. It's good to see you, hopefully. It's kind of hazy out there this afternoon. It's triggering an high impact 9 News Weather Impact Day. I knew I'd get it eventually. I'm Kim Christensen.
I'm Tom Green. Thanks very much for joining us. The summer heat, of course, returning today. A live look outside, climbing up towards 90 degrees again today. The rising temperatures also saw more wildfire smoke filling the air. That's coming from Canadian wildfires.
And according to AIQ Air, Denver was experiencing the 9th worst air quality in the world this morning. Doesn't that make us feel special? That's improved a bit as the day has gone on, but we're looking at still some pretty bad numbers. Let's take a look at this shot from Sky 9 about 6 this morning, showing hazy sky, the wildfire smoke turning the sunrise into a hazy red-orange glow. And it's just gunky here in the city.
Well, gunky is a specific meteorological term that Kathy's actually coined. So let's talk about the impact, because it's one of those things you see, feel, smell, it gets on you. And the smoke also warns you about what's happening other places that could happen here.
And, you know, I don't want to be here and talk about gunky weather to you. I want to bring you blue skies and sunshine and temperatures that aren't too warm and beautiful air quality, but not today. As 9 News meteorologist Kathy Sabin with the 9 News Weather Impact Team, we are declaring today a Weather Impact Day. And that is because of this, not the bees flying around the camera, but the air quality. Wildfire smoke from Canada and the Pacific Northwest descending into Denver for the 2nd day in a row. High levels of ozone at the surface. So with this Weather Impact Day, all day today and tonight, we do see the impact for those in terms of respiratory issues because of the haze, the ozone, the poor air quality. And so we're asking you not to exercise outdoors, maybe stay inside in the AC if you can. And you're probably wondering why we're asking you not to drive. Well, actually, cars and lawnmowers right now can add to the high concentrations of ozone across the city. So that's part of the reason we're suggesting that maybe those aren't good things to be doing when the air is this nasty. Air quality alert remains in effect, and we're warming up, and we could go into triple digits during the extended period. I do have a chance for a few afternoon showers in the extended period, which we'll be talking about as well. Tom mentioned we're close to 90 today. We are in the 90s for probably the next 5 to 7 days. And with the winds coming in out of the east and northeast, it's pushing that bad air right up against the front range. High pressure centered over us, the flow around it clockwise. So some wildfire smoke's coming up and over the top of the ridge and coming right in. Where you see the bright yellow, that's the worst of the smoke. We do think we'll see some gradual improvement tomorrow, but probably not enough to make a big difference for you. Air quality alerts will remain in effect overnight tonight and tomorrow. Tracking some isolated storms out there. Not going to get the rain we need. I'll have more on that and the impact of the batter and what that means for your forecast heading into Wednesday and Thursday coming up in just a bit.
All right, Kathy, thanks. Over the past year, we've been following the Poudre School District's plans to consolidate and close schools, but those plans were brought to a screeching halt in May after a massive community pushback to seeing those schools shut down.
And so now the board is asking parents if they'd be willing to weigh in on a possible tax increase that would pay to improve and keep those schools open, the schools that the parents had fought so hard for. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause has all the details.
After months of protesting and pushback, Poudre Schools has put the brakes on plans to close and consolidate schools.
We heard from our constituents that they really wanted to try and keep small schools as much as we are able to.
But Board of Education President Kristen Draper says the district's budget shortfalls aren't going away. So to keep schools open, the community fought so hard to save. They're asking the community to weigh in on a possible mill levy that would raise property taxes to cover that cost.
Yes, it is really needed. Since we've avoided that, we've been supplementing the schools for quite some time, and so we'll need to continue to do that without the consolidations.
The district needs about $750 million just to keep buildings up to date.
We'll just have to see how it all shakes out.
Parents like Kristen Heineman, whose kids attend Lopez Elementary, says raising property taxes might not be a super popular idea with the entire community, but it's an idea she's behind.
For me, the alternative is shutting schools down, which I don't think is necessarily a good idea. And so for me, I'm happy to pay a little bit of extra so that my kids can have a good school.
Under the proposed mill levy, Poudre would raise property taxes about $25 a year per every $100,000 in home value.
What we're asking for hopefully isn't too much for families. And if you're thinking about a $500,000 house, it's an extra $125 a year.
Draper says if the community can't get behind this funding solution, closure talks might return. Heineman hopes it doesn't need to come to that.
And hopefully we put our money where our mouth is in November, because I don't want to go back to where we were earlier this year.
Now, in just the first few weeks, Poudre Schools says they've gotten about 3,000 survey results back from the community, with many people coming out to support the plan. Now, there's still time to fill out that survey, but you have about a month or so to give the board any feedback on their plan. They expect to vote on that plan in August on whether or not to move forward with that mill levy. If the board approves it, that would then go to voters on the ballot in November. Rachel Krause, 9 News.
And then those parents might be back asking their neighbors who don't have kids that age to make sure they support the plan. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Rachel. Today, President Biden is out of isolation after testing negative for COVID today. We learned today that he will deliver a national address on his decision to drop out of the 2024 race. That is now scheduled to happen at 6 tomorrow night. Biden has endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. We have much more on the growing support for Harris to become the Democratic nominee today at 4:30. U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle has stepped down after widespread calls from lawmakers following the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump.
In that resignation letter, she took full responsibility for the lapse in security. Here with more is NBC's Ken Delanian.
Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle resigned today, one day after a disastrous congressional hearing where she was pilloried by members of both parties for failing to provide basic answers about what happened 9 days ago in the attempted assassination of former President Trump. In her resignation letter, as she did at yesterday's hearing, she acknowledged that this was a huge failure, and she said that growing calls for her resignation had become too much of a distraction. She couldn't lead the agency any further. President Biden and DHS Secretary Mayorkas both praised her in statements, and now they embark on a national search for a charismatic leader who can restore the reputation of the Secret Service. Back to you.
So now the search is on for a permanent replacement, but the Secretary of Homeland Security has named Deputy Director Ronald Rowe as the acting director. He's a 24-year veteran of the Secret Service.
Continuing coverage on a story that we've been covering since last week. We're getting new video today showing the moment FBI agents handcuffed Broncos Hall of Famer Terrell Davis and removed him from a plane. His attorneys released the video today. It happened earlier this month at the end of a flight from Denver to California. Davis said one of his sons had asked for ice and the flight attendant appeared not to hear him. Davis says he then tapped the flight attendant's arm to get their attention, and the attendant shouted, "Don't hit me," and hurried to the front of the plane. Upon landing, FBI and law enforcement agents handcuffed Davis and took him off the plane. After questioning him, the agents released him and profusely apologized. United Airlines said it reached out to Davis's team to apologize. Davis said they didn't contact him directly. The airline said it removed the flight attendant from duty while it investigates the incident.